This is WT for TST, and this afternoon I'm honoured to be joined by Linus Udofia. How are you doing, mate?
Bad. How are you?
You keep putting this posing picture up with your 6-pack or your 8-pack or whatever on there. It keeps flashing up.
No, I was trying to put my phone on Do Not Disturb so nobody calls me or interrupts.
That's all right, mate.
I promise.
Right, mate. So the first time you come on TST, what we like to do is go back to childhood, your upbringing. Yours started in Nigeria. Tell us about
that. Yeah, from what I can remember, I don't know. I used to live in Nigeria when I was young. I grew up there, born there, and came here when I was around 8. And yeah, from what I can remember, it was, it was easy life, nice and easy, going to school, just enjoying life, really. I can't think of anything better. Nice hot country, chilled out in school, just growing up, innit? You know what I mean? Me and brothers and sisters just growing up. So I can't really remember too much.
The weather, mate. The weather, that's the big difference, yeah?
That's the main difference. And then, I came here when I was around 8 years old. I lived in London by Stamford Bridge for about 8 months. And then we moved to Luton. And, I didn't start boxing until I was 17 anyway, but I used to play sports all the time. I used to play football, athletics, did loads and loads of martial arts. And, I started, my idea when I even conceived the idea of doing any martial arts was for self-defense and things like that. I've always wanted to be like a Bruce Lee or a Ip Man or a Claude Van Damme. I've always wanted to be a bit of an action man. And which is why I did loads and loads of different martial arts and things like that. And next thing you know, I started doing boxing. My mate Grant Walpole, he said, I'm starting to do some of these some boxing. I want to teach you boxing. Do you want to come into my classes with me? So I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I love to do it. At first, I actually didn't like boxing. I thought, I don't like the thought that you can just punch someone and that's it. I want to be able to kick them and throw them about. But actually, when I did it, I was like, it's actually really, really good. And it was just, I don't know, I was hooked. And then what happened? And then he pointed me towards, he goes, you can do amateurs and actually start competing. So he pointed me at Hooker Ring. So I went to Hooker Ring and, had my amateur career there.
How old are you?
Represented England. Pardon?
How old are you at this point?
I was still 17. My amateur career only lasted till I was about 20, 21.
It's quite late to start, and then it's probably quite early to join the pros as well. So your amateur career, 17, 18, yeah? Yeah,
17, 18, started boxing and started having amateur fights around 18 till I was about 20, 21. I was only amateur for about 3 years, had about 40 fights, only lost 3 times. And then I kind of took 6 months away from boxing because when it came to the end of my amateur career, I kind of just fizzled out with the amateurs. I didn't really like it. I didn't really enjoy any of it after a while. And then my coach at the time, Terry Stewart, who's now my coach, I was doing a few bits with. When I was still an amateur, I was still doing a few bits here and there with him, even though I was still at my amateur club. And then he kind of gave me, what's the word? He had confidence in me that I didn't see from anyone else. Because he was I remember I was on the verge of I don't know what I want to do. I don't even know if I want to still do boxing. I don't even know if I still want to do it. And he kind of just turned around and was like, if you want to turn professional, which I never even conceived the idea of. He was like, if you want to turn professional and do all that, do it with me. I can see you have something about you, and I want to show the world how good you are. I want you to show the world how good you are, and I can take you there.
So
and that just gave me,
So he's like a mentor for you, isn't he?
Yeah, like a father, like a mentor. He's like my second dad. You know what I mean? And when he said that to me, my eyes lit up, and that was it. That was it. One route for me. I know, you know what I mean? I never looked back since. Turned pro, turned professional with Goodwin boxing, turned professional with him, and I never looked back ever since. And 5 years later, you know what I mean, 4 or 5 years later, you know what I mean, I'm an English champion.
So were you not learning to be an electrician at one point as well?
Yeah, you know, I learned to be an electrician. I was doing it. That's another bit I missed out. While I was doing all the amateurs and things like that, I was doing an apprenticeship to be an electrician. Completed all that later on as I was turning pro, as I was having my pro career. Completed all that. It was very difficult, but you know, it was hard to juggle both lives because an electrician's a full-time job. You know, and the boxing you kind of have to have it as a full-time job, and it was so difficult. Like it was, the sacrifices were left, right, and center. You know what I mean? Sacrificing time, sleep, everything. Like there was times where I'd be sleeping 4 hours a night because I'd have to get up early, train, go work all day for 8 to 10 hours, and then go straight to training, get in at like 11 o'clock, go to sleep straight away, get up at 4 in the morning, train again. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I mean, and in the amateurs was probably worse because I used to, like, let's say train every day and fight on the weekend, but still, like, I'd be working. I remember I had a fight one day and I was working, and then I had to have all my fight kit in the car, making weight, all this stuff. Jumped in the car, drove to the venue, wherever it was, jumped in the ring, fight, win, come out, go back to work all week, train all week, get back in the car, weekend again, fight. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy. But again, you know, it's not about, you know what I mean? I haven't been doing it for a very, very long time. So I know some people that have been doing it since they were like more or less able to walk. But I've always said it's not about how long you've been doing it. It's about what you give in. And I remember I gave everything. I gave blood, sweat and tears. I changed everything and made it my career, and turned around and kind of just said, yeah, I'm not very experienced in the sense of I've done my apprenticeship, I've done my years as the amateur, I've won my fights, I've done my national titles, I've done all these things, but I'm nowhere near as experienced as certain people where they've had like hundreds of fights. They've done this, they've represented England, they've done X, Y, Z, and then they've turned pro from a young age and things like that. But I've put in more than graft to be here, and that's reflected and that's shown.
Absolutely, man. It showed, like you said, it's showing now. Do you set yourself goals and targets?
Yeah, you know, in retrospect, yeah, like, you know, the target is always, you know what I mean? The target in retrospect is as long as I'm learning every day, learning something new every day, perfecting my craft, not doing things that are detrimental to what I do. And, you know what I mean? My lifestyle and things like that, not doing things that are detrimental. You know, I'm hitting every target every day. But, you know, to me, it's all about, you know, we've all got our own targets. My coach has got his own targets towards me. My management I have. As long as all the targets are, you know, heading towards the same direction, there's like a common gel in there. I wouldn't say there's a certain target, you know what I mean? Winning the English title wasn't our main focus. It was something that came up and, you know, it was a good opportunity and timing is key. We looked at it and we went, look, that's something we should now go for. You know, that's what we should do. And we just kind of went for it as, you know, the opportunities opened up. So yeah, you know what I mean? I think the target mutually is always self-progression. As long as we're getting better every day, we are happy and we're hitting our target.
No, that's sound, mate. I learned something earlier when we were on the phone off camera in your car. You had them beads coming down from your mirror. I think you're quite superstitious, aren't you?
Yeah, superstitious enough. One bead my parents gave to me is just for good luck. Like I said, Christopher, really good luck. The other one is for, like, you know, good energy. It just reminded me, like, let's say if I'm pissed, if I'm annoyed, and there's negative emotions exuding from myself, I kind of look at it and go, you know what? No, we're good energy. It's good. There's no reason to be this way. Let's let it go. Do you know what I mean? And this is another one here. I never really take it off. My grandmother's, she gave me this before, about a couple of weeks before she died. And it's kind of like something that's always stayed with me and stayed on me for the last, how many years now? Since 2012. And it doesn't really come off me. Like, it's the only time it comes off is when I have to fight and have to take it off. So I guess I'm somewhat superstitious, yeah. No,
I'm the same with this, mate. Apart from, clearly, I don't fight, but water parks, mate, I have to take it off that's the only time this comes off. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And then when you turned pro, was there any boxers that you were looking at as trying to emulate or learn off to say, all right, actually, if I can do that, that's going to set me on the right path?
Yeah, I used to look at, because I remember, you know, the game of boxing is to hit and not get hit. And when you study the game enough, you realize that the fighters that don't get hit last the longest, and they're most successful. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of crowd pleasing fighters, and that have absolute fights that do last long, but you're better off being a very defensive fighter. So I always looked at certain fighters, like the Rigondeaux, the Mayweathers, all these kind of fighters, but I also looked at some of the most successful fighters and tried to take things from them that they did well and mold into myself and kind of make my own style, because at the end of the day, I'm my own man. I can't be anyone else. I can't be any of them. I can just take little things they do and use them to my own advantage. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, because I'm not. I'm still learning every day, but I do my best to try and take all these things from really successful fighters and put them in my own arsenal, and so when I first started boxing, the first two people I watched, funny enough, was Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Roy Jones Jr. They're the two people I watched, and I was just like, Roy Jones is just, I was like, this is incredible. He's my idol. Like, he's genuinely my idol. Like, watching him, like, one of my dreams, actually, one of my goals is actually meet him. Hang on.
That picture came up again.
my camera went. Yeah. So one of my idols, is Roy Jones. He's like my main idol, and one of my goals is to actually meet him and just kind of sit down and talk with him for an hour. Just I want to hear all about his life from his own perspective, And it's just one of those where, like, if I met him, I don't even know if I could get words out. He's my idol.
No, it's good, mate.
I'll be sitting there like, oh my God, it's Roy Jones. Like, what do I do?
Starstruck. Through your
literally.
Through your pro career, you've not really had any kind of break. So you've probably been fighting at least once every 3 months up until obviously this year. How hard's it been not fighting?
I did have a little bit of a break before my English title fight. I had like a solid 6 to 8 months off, and I hadn't fought in a while, and I had to come back in, had a little warm-up fight and warm-up boxer cards. And that was difficult coming back. I feel my timing was still there. I could have, I don't think the breaks were detrimental in any way. And, coming up to this fight, I hadn't fought since November. So I'd nearly been out of the ring nearly 11 months or something like that. So I did think to myself, ooh, like, what's it going to be? But I think as soon as the first round went past and I got my timing right, I realized the ring rust isn't really a problem. Like, it wasn't, luckily for me, it didn't really affect me too much. The time off was nice, I guess. It was a bit frustrating because I could have had a fight in March, but it got cancelled because of the whole COVID-19 situation. But I think generally the time off didn't do anything negative. It was quite positive because I had a lot of time to actually genuinely rest. Like you said, I never really got time off. I always just fought every year, like 3 or 4 times a year. So it was actually pretty nice to just have a rest and then to have a fight with enough notice to just kind of do your training camp and get everything right for this fight that you're focusing on. So it's actually been a blessing, and things have actually gone well on my side. I've been very fortunate. And
we're a week on now from your superb victory with John Arden Jr. I spoke to him the other day, actually. That takes you to 16-0.
Yep.
This question is, what's next? Commonwealth, English, British, sorry.
Yeah, we don't know. I'm speaking to especially after this weekend just gone. It's kind of one of those things where you kind of have to see where, this mad Game of Thrones, you need to see where, where all the cards are going to lay, what people are going to do with what. And, you see what opportunities open up. That's just the kind of situation we're in. So I'm speaking to my manager this week and I'm back in the gym this week. So I'm just seeing what's going to happen, where the cards are going to lay and, how the dust is actually going to settle. Right now, I don't really have any directions I'm not pointing at any direction of what's next. I'm just kind of enjoying where I am, enjoying my break. And, I'm going to open the book soon and have a look at, see what's around.
Just keep winning.
Yeah, just keep winning. As long as I keep winning, I'm not fast. But everything has to be at the right time. And everything has to be right. It has to be right, So it's just one of those. We just see what happens.
Right, so just what we normally do to finish these up, mate, is there's a few questions from the followers or the viewers. So they're not too, but some of them are real strange for some people. Yours are all right. So football related, some of these, or a couple of them.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you love Luton. Danny wants to know, who is the best player ever to play for Luton, in your opinion?
Ooh. In my opinion, the best ever player. The best ever player or my favourite player?
Go favourite.
It's got to be Steen, innit?
Go
It's got to
favourite.
be Steen. Steenie, Brian Steen.
Yeah. All right. Layfield wants to know, if you could, this is a bit of random. If you could be a movie character, who would you be and why?
A movie character in any movie?
Any movie. So probably one of your, I don't know, Taekwondo films or Hitman or whatever.
Funny enough, no. I'd want to be, who was the main protagonist in Interstellar?
Oh,
It wasn't Brad Pitt. I mean, it wasn't Matt Damon. Sorry, it wasn't Matt Damon. It was someone else.
Don't know. You've got me. You want to be him, yeah?
I want to be.
Was it McConaughey? Was it?
Yeah, that's it. It was McConaughey. I think it was Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, I'd like to be him because I like all that space stuff. I like the whole. Oh, if you go to this planet, it's like this, or if it rains diamonds on this one, or time goes really fast on this one. I like all that. I wanna know about the space-time continuum. So I'd like to. That's a movie I'd like to be in. Do you know what I mean? So
that is a good answer and one I did not expect. Last question. Could be an easy one to answer. Random name, Mr. Blue. He wants to know, Luton to win the Premier League or you to win a world title?
Here's a good one. I'd want to win a world title at the Luton ground.
Yeah. Make that happen. Is that where you'd have
Make that happen.
If you were going for a world title, that's where you'd want to fight, yeah?
At the Luton ground, 100%.
Good answer.
And another step closer. I'm defending my title at the MK ground, so now that's another step closer to the Luton one, surely.
Yeah, that's it. You've done that.
Surely.
Yeah. Happy days, mate. Well, listen, that's it for me, unless you want to say anything to the viewers or your sponsors.
Massive shout out to all my sponsors, BoxFit, D&I Family Butchers, Old Troll UK and JB Developments. And just a massive shout out to all my supporters and people that are following me and supporting me. You know what I mean? It's a massive difference. They do make it really, you know what I mean? They make it worth it and they make me realise why I love doing this so much sometimes, you know?
Spot on, mate. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for joining us and we'll catch up again soon, yeah?
All right, take it easy, mate. Thank you for having me on.
Nice one, mate.